Hey, what's up guys? Simon Cudby from Upshift Online. We are here in the Merzouga Dunes back there in Morocco, North Africa. These dunes are pretty huge. I can't believe guys ride big bikes through there, but we did it today on the 790. We didn't go to the top up there, but we did some small dunes, and I have to say, my first impression of this bike is wow. I've been riding a KTM 1090 Adventure R, and this bike is so much more confidence inspiring for me. Just average rider, not a ton of stand skills. I ride off-road a little bit on my 500 EXC, but this bike, I mean, I could ride this thing all day. It's amazing.
All right, we are doing it. The KTM Adventure launch. Look at this guy right here. Here's our buddy at the hotel. What's up, my man? How are you?
All good.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Have a good day. All right, so this is our first bit of sand we're coming to. I've turned the rally slip control down to 1, so it lets the rear wheel spin more. It's less traction control, but I can already feel much more comfortable on this bike than on a 1090 in the sand. Much more maneuverable, much more confidence inspiring. So we're going to head left into the dunes here, so this should be interesting. Okay, this is some fairly deep sand here, and again, feel pretty good on this bike. Whoa, gotta keep standing up, that's the key in the sand.
The first thing for me that I really like about this bike is the suspension. Talking to Chris Birch and Quinn Cody, Toby Price, they all say the suspension on this bike is next level. I mean, it's much better than a 1090, even though that was a lot better than the 1190 Adventure from a few years ago. So KTM is obviously progressing rapidly with their suspension development. And we did the presentation last night, or we listened to the presentation, and they were saying that this bike has its own segment. There isn't another bike like this. As I said, much better than the 1090 Adventure R. Suspension travels much better. Coming from a 1090 again, the TFT display on this bike is really great. I'd ridden a 1290 before with that system, and I really liked it. And I know they stripped down the 1090 Adventure R a little bit, didn't have that TFT display. This thing's really great. You've got different ride modes on this bike. The standard on this bike, which I really like, is the rally mode, and it lets you control the slip control from 1 through 9. 1 being the least slip control, 9 being the most. So in these dunes, we actually even turned that off because the rear wheel was spinning so much, and we didn't want any traction control. But on a hard pack area, you can flick it up on the fly to 4 or 5 possibly, and have a little bit of better traction control on those hard pack slick surfaces.
You got 3 modes on this bike: off-road, street, and rally. The rally setting is the most aggressive, and it allows you to change the traction control on the fly just using a little button on the menu scroller on your left hand. Really easy to get a hold of. So we're back in some bigger dunes. We've got traction control off. Wow, this bike does amazing in here. I would never do this in a million years on my 1090, so I'm pretty stoked that this bike's working so well here. Yeah, that's really cool. As I said in the presentation yesterday, it's really confidence inspiring. You can go places on this bike that you just can't go on a bigger bike. Chris Birch, led us through the dunes a little bit today.
Yeah.
Chris, tell us about the settings, like the rally mode and the different slip controls, and then how to turn off the traction control.
Okay, so rally mode is a new thing on the 790, and it allows you to be completely in control of how much help you want from the traction control as you're riding along. So you can basically wind up and down the amount of assistance that you get from the traction control on the fly without having to slow down or anything like that. So for example, 1 is almost no traction control at all. 9 is a lot of traction control, a lot of help, really slippery surface, that sort of thing. It's going to help you out in a big way. And you can, anywhere in between there to dial it into your particular ride. And the good thing is you can do all this as you're riding along.
So you don't need to stop the bike and go through menus anymore. You can just do it on the fly.
Yeah, those days are thankfully gone.
So
on the ride here, on the street, I had everything on, full street mode, street ABS. And then when we pulled off, I had it all ready to go, boom, into rally mode. Okay, let's go. No need to stop. That's a game changer for adventure bike riding.
So it's got 3 modes on this bike for throttle response also. You've got off-road, which is more mellow. You've got a street version of throttle response. And then if you really want to take it to the next level, you put it in rally mode, and that thing is instant. If I had to compare it, it's like riding a 1090 in full sport mode. And we definitely use that today in these dunes. The ergonomics of this bike, I mean, it's a really pretty bike. I mean, they've done Kiska design in Austria, has worked extensively with KTM. Lots of these little scoops and air intakes. And in the presentation yesterday, they talked a lot about the cooling on this bike, and they had some overheating issues on an early prototype. Went back to the drawing board in Austria, changed up everything, came back to the Southern California desert with Quinn Cody, and they got this thing dialed in. So they're saying it's not going to overheat. And today we're on the gas a lot in the dunes, and yeah, I heard the fan come on a couple times when we stopped, but I've had no problem. And it's probably about 75 degrees Fahrenheit here today, so not super hot.
So in this little tight rocky stuff, the bike's really maneuverable. You don't really feel like you're riding a giant bike. I mean, for sure it's bigger than a 500 EXC, for example, but nowhere near the width of the 1090. And that's a good point too. The 1090, the weight's at the front, at the top with the gas tank, and it's really wide. With the gas tank being so low on this bike, the width, it seems, between your knees when you're gripping the bike seems much better, much more comfortable. Okay, we are doing it here up this one. Wow. Wow, that's pretty gnarly. Not sure which way to go here. Oh, he's going up that way. I think I'm going to go through the middle here. Yeah.
Bike comes with rally pegs. It comes with a bigger rear brake platform, which I really like today. And this bike has an optional quick shift, which was really great. So no more clutching when you're shifting up and down. You can just go on the shift lever, and it goes right into gear. The headlight, LED headlight, super bright. When I first saw the 1290 a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. But it's definitely grown on me, and it's become a trademark of these KTM bikes. The Duke, the Super Duke, the 1290, and now the 790 Adventure R.
Looks like we're going straight up again. Not sure where those guys went, but okay, let's see how we're going up this pretty steep, sandy, rocky hill. I'm in 4. Usually I'd turn the traction control off on a big bike, but this thing's pretty good. Well, more than pretty good. helping me become a better rider, that's for sure.
Ergonomics on this bike, really good. The handlebar position, you've got six different options. You can adjust it forward and back 3 ways, and then you can flip the clamps as well. So it gives you a lot of adjustability for the cockpit, so you can get in a really comfortable riding position. Let's talk a little bit about fuel range. This thing has a 20-litre fuel tank, so without getting my calculator out, I'm assuming that's about 5 gallons plus or minus. And in the presentation yesterday, when they talked about the bike, they were saying that people were getting 400 to 450 kilometers. That's close to 300 miles on a tank. Now, obviously, that depends on how hard you're riding it. I mean, if you're riding it in the dunes all day, you're definitely not going to get that. But if you're on a trip down to Baja or riding across Colorado, a little bit of freeway, off to some fire road, you're definitely going to get some much improved fuel mileage on this bike. The fuel tank is much lower, so on this bike it's a huge improvement over the 1090, because that thing was up high. You could really feel it off-road, moving back and forth. But yeah, with the 790, the key design for me is having that fuel down low. It makes the bike much more manageable. So there it is. That's a wrap up here from the edge of the Sahara Desert in North Africa. We've want to say thanks to the guys at KTM for getting us out here to try this great new bike. And as I said earlier, this bike's groundbreaking. There isn't another bike like this. It's the best 800cc or thereabouts adventure bike out there. They do a just regular adventure version, shorter travel. If you were to ride around the world, you might take that bike. It's got a little bit lower standover height. Standover height on this is lower than the 1090, so guy like me, little short legs, I didn't have any problem standing on this bike, coming to a stop. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I keep finding new stuff to talk about. This bike's got lots of stuff to talk about, lots of improvements. Yeah, amazing bike. Thanks again to KTM, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks.
We've got traction control turned all the way off. Just gotta keep standing up, I guess. We're up down into this. There we go. We are doing it.